On the news, appeal court upholds tribunal's judgment sacking NNPP's Abba Yusuf as Kano State Governor. President Tinubu cancels 40% IGR deduction from Nigerian universities. And court remands former CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele in Kuje Correctional Center. Hello and welcome to News Now. I am Simisola Ajigun. The Court of Appeal in Abuja has affirmed the verdict of the Kano State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal. The tribunal had sacked Abba Yusuf, candidate of the New Nigeria People's Party (NNPP), as governor of the state. Justice Oluyemi Osadebe had nullified the election of Governor Abba Yusuf by declaring 165,663 of his votes as invalid and held that the ballot papers were not signed nor stamped by the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC). In a judgment delivered on Friday, a three-member panel of the appellate court held that the NNPP had breached the constitution by sponsoring Yusuf, who was not a member of the NNPP.
The aggrieved party, that is the government, has appealed the judgment, and today we are here and the judgment has been delivered. The judgment, it is in favor of APC, declaring Nasiru Gawuna and Murtala Sulangaro as the governor and deputy respectively. And the tribunal was able to establish that the governor Abba Kabir Yusuf was not a member of NPP, but could not deliver judgment on that. Today, the appeal court has gone further. After declaring that Abba was not a member of NPP at the time of election, it has also delivered that he is not entitled to be the governor under that party. In fact, the ruling clearly said that it's a reckless act by the party to sponsor somebody who's not his own member.
NNPP did not field a valid candidate. Of course, we filed a cross appeal on that, and the Court of Appeal agreed with us and disagreed with the tribunal that the tribunal ought to have disqualified Abba Kabir Yusuf as a candidate because he was not validly sponsored, he was not a member of NNPP as at the time of the election. Of course, also the Court of Appeal agreed with the decision of the tribunal to deduct the 165,000 invalid votes that were cast in favor of NNPP. We have stated it even before we filed the petition that the NNPP did not win by majority of the valid votes, and also NNPP did not have a valid candidate.
Well, reactions have begun to trail the appeal court's ruling in Kano State. Earlier on, I spoke with legal practitioner Evans Ofeli to get his thoughts on the judgment of the Court of Appeal in Kano on what is supposed to be a pre-election matter.
A large chunk of the votes that was ascribed to him were nullified because those votes didn't have the signature of INEC therein. So the issues of qualification and disqualification ran against him, which is both a pre-election and post-election matter, and also the issue of a huge chunk of the votes that were ascribed to him were taken down. And when that happened, if you look at what is left and compare it with the adverse party, that's the APC candidate, you'll now find out that by count, the APC candidate appears to have won that election. But you know, at this level, the truth is that he will still remain the governor because there are options of appeal left. I mean, there's still an option of appeal left, which is the Supreme Court. From the tribunal first made that finding, and same was upheld by the Court of Appeal just today. He will still remain the governor because they will bring a motion to stay execution of that judgment, and they will appeal to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court will be the final say on this. If the Supreme Court upholds it, fine. If the Supreme Court upturns it, then so be it. But the option of appeal must be open for for him to exercise. That is talking about the governor now.
We're beginning to see that the court take pre-election matters serious, just like the case in Plateau State. Is the dynamics of election litigation changing?
I won't say the dynamics is changing, but I will say by virtue of the new Electoral Act, okay? Because if you look at what turned out in Zamfara, by virtue of the new Electoral Act, where INEC had gone as far as making regulations, and I've said that by the Electoral Act, they are not bound by their own regulations, okay? Because if you look at what happened in Zamfara, the Court of Appeal ruled that using the IRF squarely to determine the victory at the polls was wrong, since the Supreme Court has already ruled that the IRF is not a determining factor in terms of what the outcome of victory should be. I would say that the judgment of the court as regards this seems to be unappealing. Unappealing to me to the extent that if you say IRF should not be relied upon because it's just for the viewing public, in a way you are saying technically that the public, whatever is the IRF, the public can view whatever they want to view. But that what is important is what INEC counts at the back end. So the Supreme Court first laid that issue up there, and then the courts beneath are being, influenced, as it were, under legislation or under our legal system. They are supposed to follow the lead of the Supreme Court as a superior court. Okay, so the Electoral Act brought innovation, and I cashed on it to enhance integrity of the polls by saying public viewing of the IRF. But then, because the Electoral Act says not make it compulsory, and then the Supreme Court will have to give that judgment that is not compulsory. Therefore, if INEC then goes to rely on it, and INEC also contradicts itself. So why go to rely on it when you have said it is not the determining factor is not the yardstick? That's talking about Zamfara. So the dynamics are changing. You are right. But I also think that the judgment is not entirely helping the cause of justice in election petition.
That was legal practitioner Evans Ofeli speaking on the judgment of the Court of Appeal in Kano State. President Bola Tinubu has announced the cancellation of the automatic deduction of 40% from federal universities' internally generated revenue (IGR). Minister of Education Tahir Mamman conveyed the president's announcement in his speech at the 75th Founders' Day ceremony of the University of Ibadan on Friday. Mamman maintained that it was not the best time for such a policy since universities are still struggling. In October, the Ministry of Finance had informed academic institutions nationwide of its plan to automatically deduct 40% of their IGR. This move generated mixed reactions, especially from the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, and other stakeholders. In a significant development, the commencement of the planned sectoral debate on the nation's security challenges in the House of Representatives faced a setback due to the absence of the nation's security chiefs. Despite the presence of representatives sent by the security agencies, lawmakers expressed their dissatisfaction and insisted on the personal appearance of the service chiefs. This stance has led to a postponement of the meeting to Tuesday, November 21, allowing the House to engage directly with the heads of the nation's armed forces for a more robust discussion on the pressing security issues.
Parliament is the #1 organ of government. The gentlemen they have sent have a great profile, great pedigree, have served the nation in various capacities, are competent to discuss with us. But in this case, based on the provisions of 88 and 89, it has not been satisfied before the House that their top officers, their #1 officers, should not appear before the Parliament. Mr. Speaker, I want to move that as it has been the tradition of this House, when we invite chief executives, be it private sector or public sector, they must come in person. I want to pray that we don't break this sacred tradition of our House, lest we be taken for granted. I therefore move that this sectorial engagement be suspended until the leaders of these agencies that we invited, who are our friends, who are working for Nigeria, who we are proud of, until they come to address us, take our questions, explain certain things to us. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
We thank you for coming. Please convey our message to your service chiefs that we understand the tight schedules they have, and we are willing to make an adjustment to reschedule this engagement to Tuesday next week for them to appear in person.
The High Court sitting in the Federal Capital Territory has ordered that the former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, be remanded in the Kuje Correctional Center pending the determination of his bail request. Emefiele was arraigned on a 6-count charge bordering on alleged procurement. The original charge, which was 20 counts to the tune of 6.5 billion naira, has been deducted to 6 to the tune of 1.6 billion naira. Emefiele is the only defendant in the new charge. The former CBN governor appeared in court on Friday for an application for bail, pleading not guilty to the 6-count charge after it was read to him. Justice Hamza Mwazu then adjourned the case till November 22 for ruling on the bail application and November 28 for the commencement of trial. In a remarkable achievement, Greater Tomorrow International College in Arigidi, Ondo State has secured victory in the grand finale of the state competition for secondary schools. The competition, organized by the National Institute of Legislative and Democratic Studies, was held across 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory FCT, where students of both private and public schools showcased their talent. The competition marks the first of its kind since the inauguration of the 10th National Assembly and the commencement of the Tinubu-led administration. Correspondent Folashade Olusegun tells us more.
An enduring democratic culture can only be sustained if the children of today, who are leaders of tomorrow, are introduced to the tenets of governance that reflect the will of people early enough. What the National Institute of Legislative and Democratic Studies is doing for young people is building our future today, as all participants of this event see themselves as winners. No victor, no vanquished the spirit of fair play required for democracy to thrive. In the aftermath of the 2023 general and off-cycle elections, the National Institute of Legislative Democratic Studies (NIDS) National Quiz Competition on Legislature and Democracy for senior secondary schools takes center stage, becoming a crucial platform for citizens' education on democracy and governance. The Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, in his address, encouraged the participants to utilize the time to study as the country needs individuals, especially young people, who can make positive contribution to the nation's development.
We need young men and women who are willing to earn their money and reject dishonest practices. We need people who want to contribute to the country rather than exploit the country. People who pray and trust in God as if everything depends on God alone, and it does depend on God. And work hard and labor is everything that they require to make it in life. Nigeria needs you. The National Assembly is very proud of you and your presence. And even when you have not yet become a legislator, you are already answering questions more than us.
In his remarks, the Director General NIDS, Abubakar Sulaiman, says the quiz competition serves as catalyst for instilling democratic values in young minds, contributing to the bridging the youth's exclusion gap in civic, political, and governance spheres, while urging the students to always adhere to the rules set for every competition and give their best.
In a time where youth participation in civic, political, and governance spaces is either low or challenged by lack of access to opportunities, the NIDS quiz competition serves as a vehicle for engagement and advocacy to close the youth exclusion gap and raise leaders that will champion democratic processes and serve as change agents.
This NIST National Quiz Competition stands not just as a contest, but as a dynamic initiative driving civic education, youth empowerment, and building of future leaders committed to democratic processes and positive change. Alongside other cash prizes, NIST therefore promised to pay both the WAEC and university school fees of all students who participated in the grand finale. Folashade Olusegun, reporting for TV360 Abuja.
The Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetoko, has presented checks for Group Life Assurance and the IGP Family Welfare Scheme to 613 beneficiaries and next of kin of deceased police officers. The financial settlement covering the policy years between 2020 to 2023 also amounts to over 2 billion naira for the focal period. Speaking during the presentation at the force headquarters in Abuja, the IGP expressed his sympathy for the families of the deceased officers, while also emphasizing that the initiative is aimed at addressing the day-to-day life challenges faced by the families left behind.
It should be recalled that checks amounting to the sum of 347,533,946 naira were presented to the families of 709 deceased police officers at my first presentation of 14 July 2023. In the second presentation on 26 September 2023, checks totaling 1,302,597,269 naira 54 kobo were presented to the families of 420 deceased police officers. Cumulatively, in the last 5 months, we have been able to settle a total number of 1,742 claims of deceased police personnel amounting to 3,928,242,181 naira 72 kobo. I would like to reiterate my deepest condolences to the families of our departed heroes. We understand your pains and the void that has been created by the absence of your loved ones. Today, the presentation of these checks is a small gesture, but a tangible way of showing our support and gratitude to the families of these departed officers. It is a way for us to acknowledge their sacrifices and provide some financial reliefs to their dependents. We hope that these funds will help ease the burden and provide some stability in their lives as we pray collectively for the repose of their souls.
We'll take a break here. When News Now returns, Nigerians react to Super Eagles' poor performance against Lesotho. The news will continue shortly. Thank you for staying with us. Here's a recap of our top stories. The Court of Appeal in Abuja has affirmed the verdict of the Kano State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal. The tribunal had sacked Abba Yusuf, candidate of the New Nigeria People's Party (NNPP), as governor of the state. In a judgment delivered on Friday, a 3-member panel of the Appellate Court held that the NNPP had breached the constitution by sponsoring Yusuf, who was not a member of the party. We also told you that President Bola Tinubu has announced the cancellation of the automatic deduction of 40% from tertiary institutions' internally generated revenue (IGR). Minister of Education Tahir Mamman conveyed the president's announcement during his speech at the 75th Founders' Day ceremony of the University of Ibadan on Friday. Mamman maintained that it was not the best time for such policy as universities are still struggling, while President Tinubu pledged his commitment to the reforms of the nation's education sector as the bedrock for national development. Just in case you missed any of our news bulletins or for more updates, you can catch us on Limax World TV or log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria, or download our mobile app on Google Play Store and Huawei App Gallery, on Facebook or at TV360 Online. Well, it's time for business news. Tamilore Akinkwole is on standby. Over to you, Tamilore.
Hello and welcome to Business News. In business, the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister for the Economy, Wale Edun, has provided insight into the administration's cautious approach towards relying on borrowing to finance the 2024 budget. Edun emphasized the necessity for the nation to actively generate sufficient revenue and expressed a determination to reduce the current high deficit financing. His remarks were made during his appearance before the Joint Senate Committee on Finance, Appropriation, National Planning, Local and Foreign Debt. Edun emphasized that Nigeria's optimal approach to funding annual budget is to allocate more resources to infrastructure projects capable of generating revenue.
Honourable Minister, we have seen a lot of leakages in the use of government resources. A lot of money that are realized or collected as revenues. A lot of agencies do not remit those monies as and when due. I cannot believe that an agency will receive revenue of 2022 and is showing a receipt of collection in October 2023.
We are in no position to rely on borrowing. We have an existing borrowing program, and as distinguished Senator Abiru has said, our attempt and our direction of travel is to reduce reliance on borrowing, reduce the quantum and the percentage of deficit financing in the 2024 budget. What is the answer? The number one answer is revenue. Government needs to not just maintain its activity, it needs to spend more. So government needs even more. If you look at government spending, if you look at the budget as a percentage of GDP, ours is one of the lowest, maybe around 10%. Even Ghana is at 25%.
We'll go on a break and be back shortly. At the end of the last weekday of trading on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, the market closed slightly higher by 0.12%, with the market cap at 39.11 trillion. Market breadth ended in positive end with 36 gainers against 19 losers. Among the 116 listed equities that participated in trading, Motivas Mining and Exploration led the gainers, closing at ₦3.63 per share, followed by Prestige Assurance Company. Now, in summary, investors traded 441 million volumes of shares valued at over 6 billion, exchanged in 5,883 deals, and a switch to our select global stores UK FTSE and Japanese Nikkei rebounded to the positive side from the previous day trading, leaving only US Dow Jones in a bearish sentiment at 0.10%. And that's all on business and stock market report. Back to you, Simi.
Thank you very much, Tamilare. On the foreign scene, Russia's agriculture ministers announced the commencement of free grain shipments to 6 African countries as promised by President Vladimir Putin in July. In a statement posted on Telegram on Friday, the agriculture minister Dmitry Patrushev disclosed that ships headed for Burkina Faso and Somalia had already left Russian ports, adding that more shipments to Eritrea, Zimbabwe, Mali, and the Central African Republic would soon follow. Last year, Russia exported around 60 million tons of grain, according to Putin. UN Chief Antonio Guterres called the promises of free grain a handful of donations. Well, up next is Entertainment Report on News Now.
Renowned Nollywood actor Anks Enuku has revealed that he has been without employment for an extended period. Responding to a widely circulated video showing him working as a fuel attendant at a Delta State gas station, the actor expressed his struggle to make ends meet despite his status as a respected figure in the industry. In a video circulating on social media, Anks pleaded for help from Delta State government and the general public following the viral video, which also raised worries about his mental health. Anks emphasized his contribution to the country and his status as a legend, yet highlighting his prolonged unemployment. Iconic American rapper and actor Snoop Dogg has recently made a surprising announcement, saying he has decided to quit smoking. In a post on Instagram, the rapper said after much consideration and conversation with his family, he has decided to give up smoking and requested for respect on his privacy at the time. The post didn't specify the type of smoke he was giving up, leaving rooms for speculations among fans. Some enthusiasts speculated whether this announcement was a strategic move, possibly tied to a marketing strategy for his cannabis company Live by Snoop. And that's it in the entertainment segment of News Now. Tamilore Akinkolie, TV360 Nigeria.
Finally, on sports, Nigerians have expressed their disappointment over the outcome of Thursday's 2026 World Cup qualifying game between the Super Eagles and the Crocodiles of Lesotho. Host Super Eagles had to rally back later in the game to draw against a less fancied Lesotho side that drew the first blood in the 51st minute at the Godswill Akpabio Stadium in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State. Speaking with some football enthusiasts, they say the team lacks commitment and the entire management staff of the team needs a complete overhaul.
It's painful, it's disappointing. It's very, very unfortunate where we found ourselves. Because in my generation, I've seen a couple of Nigerian players, let's say from 1990, when I was still in secondary school. And we cannot talk about Nigerian football without mentioning the likes of Stephen Keshi, Chidi Nwanu, Uche Okochukwu, Uche Okafor, Benny Roha. The list is endless. Then you cannot compare that commitment shown by those players with what we have at the moment. And again, of course, the Nigerian Football Federation appeared as if they lack direction. We just failed to qualify from the World Cup in Qatar just about a year ago, and we seem not to learn anything.
We never expected Lesotho to even give us a tough time. You know, compared to what we have in the Nigeria team, we have professional players like foreign-based players. From the goalkeeping to the defense to the midfielding to the midfield to the forward, it is nothing to write home about. I think the NFF, they should just get themselves right, get a good coaching crew. When we mean a coaching crew, we mean top coach.
Well, that's it on News Now. Many thanks for watching. See you again next time.